Vic, what's up, man?
Man, chilling, brother.
Glad you're here.
I appreciate y'all having me, man.
Yeah, I've been really excited to have you because I think the conversations you're having, from what I've seen with the young men that you're, cutting their hair, like that's what people need now more than ever. I think there's a huge void in masculinity and manliness and men stepping up to help a lot of these young men. I'm really curious though where that desire and ambition comes from.
I mean, the desire to want to reach out and help people and ultimately inspire them. It was an idea that I had starting in 8th grade, right? It was the first time I discovered what motivational speaking was. I was running track, and I remember my coach vividly telling me that track is a mental sport. For you to run, you have to have your mind right? If you come ready on race day, you could win the race. Yeah. So I was like, man, how do I get my mind right? So I started going on YouTube and searching best motivational speeches, trying to get my mind, ready the night before to go run. And I discovered who Eric Thomas was, man. So yeah, I was watching motivational speaking, and to see the power that somebody could have in their voice alone to make me feel a way, to be ready to run the next day, that was something that sparked it for me. I was like, man, this is dope. So, through high school, I'm listening to other motivational speakers. I'm going through the hallways, while everybody's playing, music through their ears and shit. I'm the one walking to, third period science, playing, if you want, you got to want it as bad as you want to breathe and shit right here. So I'm like trying to get hyped through high school. And as I was running track and running cross country and boxing and doing all these sports, like getting my mental was important for me. But it was never something that I think people wanted to hear from me. And that stopped me from doing it or wanting to pursue that journey because I didn't think that I looked the part. I didn't think that I sounded the part. I didn't think my age was going to be able to match the part of what a motivational speaker should look like or sound like. Right. So I never really pursued that. So coming into just a couple years ago, I say about, right before COVID started, before I moved to Atlanta, I started doing a few videos, wanting to speak. And at that moment, I'm just talking whatever I would hear on YouTube and trying to dabble in it and just saying the generic motivational things. And, it was doing all right. It wasn't doing what I expected it to do or what I envisioned it to do. And I stopped. I let all the hate and all the people on Instagram that told me to stop doing that shit, to shut up and cut hair, and to stop, trying to speak and be somebody on Instagram. I let that all get to me. And ultimately, it stopped me from pursuing that dream that I had. And then when COVID hit and, I can't cut hair anymore and the livelihood of what I built my business and my brand on was taken from me, I'm sitting at the house stuck. And the quote that I heard in the middle of the pandemic was, don't let what you're good at define who you are. Who are you if you can't do what you're good at? So when I heard that, I'm sitting at the house thinking, like, damn, who is Victor Fontanez if I can never cut hair again? That was a question that I had to ask myself and challenge myself on because I've built my brand and my likeliness to, attach to this one thing. And, it got taken from me. And I didn't have a say-so in whether I'm able to go do that or not. So now I'm limited on the impact I thought I could bring to the world. And I think that the pandemic, and sorry to anybody, I pray for anybody that has gone through a hard time during that pandemic or has lost somebody or gone through a time that has set them back. I think, as humans, we're chasing the flesh our whole lives. And it's very rare that we all get stopped and get told to sit down by God and say, let me take control of what we're supposed to be doing here. And that's what I feel like the pandemic was for me. It was that I was chasing this barbering, dream of cutting all these celebrities and rappers and being this hair cutter that, God's plan for me was different from day one, right? Like it was already written in the things that I was supposed to do and accomplish. And until that pandemic came and I was forced to sit down and stop doing so, I wasn't really woke to what he had written for me. So that's why I started speaking more at is when I couldn't do the one thing I thought I was only good at.
It's always interesting because, and I found very much the same way is like when we find a path that we want to be on or we find, maybe somebody that we resonate with, we think, oh, I got to do it like him, right? And then it doesn't work for us the same way. But it's found that the best thing you can do is found in doing it different, is being different. So when you say, yeah, I don't look the part, I don't speak the part, I got the age, all that kind of stuff, you thought that was a hindrance. But if you tap into that and unlock that, that's actually probably what sets you on the path.
It's the strength. That's the strength. And, I remind people of that now, that all the things that you think make you different for negative reasons are the things that make you different for positive reasons, right? I thought I wasn't old enough to be able to speak about things that people will relate to. Guess what? That makes me different because they've never heard a young man talk about it the way that I have, right? I thought my voice sounded too weird to be on a microphone. Guess what? That's why when people hear me speak out now, they say, oh, I heard your voice, and I turn around and it was you, right? Like everything about you that you feel like is holding you back from pursuing the dream that you have and the way you envision yourself, those are all the strengths. And once you believe in those things and you find you find that confidence in it, everything will change, right? You got to love yourself to do so.
What's it like now that I've seen the last couple of videos that you put up where, again, you're cutting these young men's hair where they actually recognize you? I watched one the other day and it was a young man and he was like, I can't believe this is happening. This is crazy.
It's such an honor to me. That's all I gotta say. I can't believe this is happening. I mean,
because nobody would have recognized you when you started. They probably thought you're some strange, weird dude. You probably still get that. But then to have somebody actually acknowledge and recognize you, how does that feel? What does that feel like?
I mean, it's a surreal feeling. I don't think it's something for me that I'll ever get old. You know, it's very hard now because like I'm around a lot of successful people and I see them like mad that people come up and they want to take pictures, they want to support them. But like for me, this is everything I pray for, word for word, exactly. And I always tell myself that if you ask God to eat and He fills your plate up, you got to keep up with your appetite. So everything that I got coming forth to me, like this is what I asked for. So who am I to be ungrateful for the things that God has given me now? So to have a young kid say, "Oh wow, you're Vic Blends," like I watch your videos, I want a haircut. Like, man, I prayed for that to happen one day because I remember sitting in the garage, you know, going on live when nobody joining the live or, you know, nobody watching the videos and nobody supporting. Like, I remember those times and I could still feel it. Like, I feel it vividly and I remind myself of those things every day. So when these blessings come forth to me, I don't want to take them for granted. I don't want to act like, oh, it's nothing now. You know, for the fact that somebody is inspired by what I do is the ultimate gift and I will never take it for granted. You know, I remember that day, like it wasn't too long ago. So like we was trying to go out and shoot a video. And as much as people know who I am, sometimes when we go out there and try to bless people with free cuts to have conversations, sometimes we strike out.
Sure.
Sometimes we don't find nobody. Sometimes, you know, the people we ask, everybody's just too busy or they got something else going on. It doesn't always end up as successful as we think. And I've posted videos of all the no's we might get in a day, but we went to this random park and we sat down and I'm just looking at the water thinking, and I just hear this kid behind me and he's like, wait. I was like,
oh, he called you out?
He called me out.
Oh, that's funny.
And I'm like, what's up, man? And he's like, oh my gosh, I watched your video. Are you that dude? I'm like, yeah. And you know, it's a young man. So, you know, before I cut or do anything with young kids, I always got to ask parent permission. I'm not out there trying to make content off nobody's kids without having a thorough conversation with parents.
There's a lot of weirdos out there too.
A lot of weirdos out there. Yeah, I don't want to be that guy that's just doing this weird stuff for social media. So I just wanted to be, you know, as transparent as I can with the parents. And they were all cool with it, man. And they were just for anything that was going to make their kid happy, which I appreciated as well.
What are some trends that you're hearing from these young men? I mean, I'm sure there's things you hear a bunch. You hear it over and over again. Are there things that you hear that you know cut you deep or impact you more deeply than others when you hear about some of these stories that these guys are going through? I mean, or what they're dealing with, I guess?
I mean, everything that they go through is so different. And, you know, like a lot of people always ask me, what was the most impactful conversation I might have had? And like everybody goes through different things. And I think that's the true beauty of what I do. And, you know, we're exploring the human mind, you know, like everybody's got different thoughts and different things that they've been challenged with or gone through. And every kid goes through something different. Right? I think a lot of kids now are going through the bullying age, right? Middle school and high school. And they're trying to find out who themselves are, trying to figure out what their path is or what they really want to do. And that's the thing that I try to encourage them to do is just find out who you are and stick to it.
Right.
Because I wish I would have done so earlier in high school. You know, I got my best friend here watching as well. And I just wish that I would have known who I was a long time ago the same way that he did. Because he knew who himself was. And we always joke about it, but he got into a lot of fights in high school. And I'm like, damn, like, why are you fighting so much? But it was because he knew who he was. And when he saw some shit that he didn't like or some shit that he didn't agree with, he spoke on it. And if I could go back, I would have just spent more time with myself instead of trying to blend in and be with certain groups or be accepted. That was something that I admired about my friend and I picked up on. And now I can learn from that experience and push it forward to other young kids to just try to stick by what they believe in and what they really want to do.
Right.
And everything else will handle itself.
Yeah. So one of the things I know you talk a lot about is your dad. It sounds like you had a great relationship with your dad. And so what's it like coming from that position of having this relationship with your father to seeing a lot of probably these young men and dealing with the people that you do who don't have those male influences in their lives? Like why speak to them directly when you come from a position where you're like, yeah, I had all of that, you know? Was there something else that said, no, I need to speak to these kids?
Man, I just see a lot of power in my age. You know, to be 22 and be given the knowledge that I have from God, like I know it's not for selfish reasons. I know it's not just for myself to benefit off of. And, you know, I'm not, you have kids?
Yeah, I've got 4.
So from a dad perspective, you could feel me and I could feel it for myself. Like I remember my parents trying to teach me things and I was like, man, you don't know what I'm going through. Like you don't know what I feel like.
Too big of a disconnect?
Yeah, too big of a disconnect. And it's like all the things that our parents been telling us our whole life growing up are the things we needed to hear, but we didn't want to hear it from them. So I'm looking at myself as a 22-year-old man now, you know, 18, 19, when I started picking up some of these things, like I was blessed with a lot of knowledge at a young age. And I feel like it's to be a vessel to other young kids that might not have that outlet to listen to, right? Because some of us don't have the father figures that I might have had. But if I'm able to bridge the gap and listen and hear from a guy with experience and age, and I could get the message, guess what? I just want to give it back out to the ones that might not hear it and might not see it from the guys like you.
Yeah.
So I just see power in my age.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I see that too, because I think there's probably, you were talking about it earlier on Instagram or wherever, people telling you to shut up and just cut hair. And so I could see how the age might be a perceived barrier. But again, that's what makes it strong, is that you're closer to them in age than maybe their parents or their grandparents or whatever, talking to them as an authority figure and somebody just talking to them as a peer.
It was more so just like a burning motivation that I've always had while we were younger because we don't really have, for this generation, right, for my generation being, 18, 19, 20, 21, we don't have a figure or a person to look up to that's going to say, yo, this is what we need to do to push this generation forward and achieve the things we want to achieve. Everybody our age has popped on social media for, and no offense to it, for something that is probably quick, that it might be just dancing or rapping or music or whatever. And all these are great art forms, but a lot of these guys are telling kids to pop pills, to do drugs, to slide on the ops, whatever they might want to put out there. But like, who do we have for our age to look up to that's going to show kids this is what real success might look like? This is what you're really going to have to go through. These are the emotions you're going to have to handle. These are the things you might have to battle with your friends, and the real shit that might not be the coolest to look at, might not be the coolest to hear. And I get it. Like, I want to be a motivational speaker. A lot of our kids, a lot of the people our age, they want to go get turned up. They want to go drink and smoke. Right. So I want to be the guy that's like, nah, I'm going to be in this other lane here. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to smoke. I'm going to go through the shit and I'm going to put it out exactly the way that I'm going through it. So y'all can learn from the shit that I have to go through. Like, we didn't have that. And I'm trying to be it now, but that was the motivation. Like, who do we have to look up to?
When you were growing up and you're talking about the way that you were different than most of your peers, they were doing things that you weren't, and you were listening to motivational speeches and trying to get on track. Was the temptation to deviate from that difficult from you in your surroundings, or were you so convicted in it that it just was a non-issue?
I mean, I was extremely convicted. I knew exactly what I had to do, and I stood by that for a lot of the times, man. But there's always been times where, I've slipped up and fell into temptation and fell into the influence of my friends want me to come kick it with them again or go drink or go smoking. Every time that I do so, I learn my lesson, right? Like every time that I let go of that conviction that I had with myself and I fell into the temptation of what people wanted me to do, I learned my lesson. Every time it always bit me right back, right? So I just remind myself of that, I know where I got to go. I know what I got to do. And I'll get punished by God every time that I go against that. I remember, one of the days that it was really the last day that I hung out with my high school friend group. I don't smoke. Don't drink. It's not something I normally do. We used to do it early in high school. Like every kid, you got to do it once and learn to know, like, oh, this is not for me. I ain't going to act like I'm no saint. We used to get turned up too, but it's just, you got to go through it to know this ain't for me. So, I was just graduated, going to barber school, trying to pursue like this dream that I had, and I was locked in, right? All my friends going to college, and I'm the one that sat back in my brother's garage with no AC, trying to make shit shake out of this tiny ass garage. And, you know, I just, you know, not that I cut my friends off and I'm just going a different direction. There's no love lost, right? If it's a real friendship, if you got to do what you got to do, then I got to respect that and push that forward, right? I shouldn't be mad at you for doing what you have to do. All of our lives are different. So sometimes as friends, some can't see that.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to, you know, disregard the friendship that we had, but I'm just trying to make sure I do what I have to do. And it was one night that they invited me back out. They're like, yo, Vic, we ain't seen you in a while. We really want you to come hang out. Come hang out with us. Come chill with us. Come drink with us. Go whatever. It's a Sunday night. I got barber school the next day, 8 a.m. I'm just feeling the guilt, right? Because we've been friends for, you know, going on 10 years. I'm like, man, you're right. Y'all are my friends. You've been my day ones, whatever. Like, all right, I miss y'all too. I'm going to come drink with y'all. But y'all got to make sure I get home in the morning because I got barber school. That was my only non-negotiable. Make sure I get home in the morning.
Right.
That's all I wanted. Like, I don't care how lit I get. As long as you get me to my bed, I'll figure a way to get up and brush my teeth and I'll make it to school. So I go there. We start drinking. I pass out, right? I get drunk. I get messed up or whatever. I was throwing up. I remember, you know, falling asleep in the bathroom. Woke up in the morning. I'm still in the bathroom. Still by the toilet. I'm sleeping in the crevice of the toilet. I'm like, damn. You know, like what happened to all the friends that said they got me?
Yeah.
They said that they gonna get me right back to the crib. And, you know, the ones that said they were gonna make sure that I get my shit done for the better of me, not just for what I could do for them this night. They all left. I woke up, I'm late. You know, it's like 11 o'clock. School's already started. You know, and barber school works off hours. So you got to the faster you get your hours in, the faster you graduate. So that's really bothering me because they knew how much this shit meant to me. And I just fell into it, you know. And what it was that I had to learn that time didn't equal loyalty. And it doesn't matter how long you've known somebody. If they're not there for the betterment of yourself and to push you forward as a friend, you don't need them. It doesn't matter how long you've known somebody. You're right. Like, time doesn't equal loyalty at the end of the day. And I've met guys in the last couple of years that have stood by me, that have done more for me genuinely than I could ever ask for from anybody that I might have known as we were a kid. So that was a lesson that I learned. And from that day forward, like, it was hard for me to speak to those guys. And it was just, like I said, like, you know, every time that I fell into that temptation, I learned my lesson.
I like that you're saying too, because a lot of times people think that they need to deliberately and intentionally cut friends out. But you also say, what you just said is that, you know, you evolve, you grow, you find new friends, and it just kind of over time gradually replaces that if you're replacing it with good activities and things that are actually going to drive the needle forward.
Yeah, sometimes the separation, you know, they say you got to separate to elevate, and it's not you switching up or changing up on your day ones. Like, if you my boy and you really fuck with me and you want me to win, then you shouldn't want me doing the shit that isn't going to better me. Yeah. You shouldn't be wanting that for me as a friend, right? You shouldn't be mad at me for not coming to smoke and drink with y'all because I'm trying to go and pursue my dream. You should push me forward, right? Sure,
yeah. Do you get any pushback from those guys? I mean, it sounds like you're not as tight maybe as you once were, but do you get any pushback from, you know, people in your past, whether it's friends or even relatives who are like, oh, look what you're trying to be. I know who you really are. Look what you're trying to be now. This isn't you. Do you get any of that sort of thing?
I mean, whether I do or I don't, like, I'm at peace with myself. And that's the most important thing. I can't live my life off the opinion of what others might think. I know I'm following everything that God told me to do. I know I'm happy with myself. I know I'm making an impact on this world. And if anybody got something else to say about it, like, fuck them. And that's honestly how I feel. And I know that my heart has been right for everybody. You know, I've done right through my heart for anybody that I've came across. And I've never went into any relationship with non-genuine intentions for them. And I know that I gave those guys my genuine love. I know I gave them my best foot forward every time. And no matter how they feel about me now, I know that I could look back and say I never did anybody dirty to get to where I'm at. And I could live with myself. I could look in the mirror every day and feel confident in looking at that man and saying, yo, you did right. Everything you got coming for yourself, you earned. Yeah. You know, so no matter how they feel about it, you know, I'm going to do that word is bond, right? Like, word is bond to me. And whatever the last thing I told you is the last thing I'm standing on, even if we haven't spoke for years. And the last thing I told every one of those guys was, I love you, right? I just got to love you from a distance, right? You can't love everybody the same way that you love them forever. some people you got to learn how to love differently. And that's what I learned, that all the people that I love, that sometimes I got to love them from different places. I can't love everybody in this immediate circle right now, because if I do so, I'm just going to open myself up to get hurt more and more. So I love all those guys. You know, like I'll never forget the times we spent, but remember, time don't equal loyalty. So no matter how long I've known y'all, I can't love y'all the same way that I loved y'all back then, because our lives are just very different right now. And there's things that I got to protect, whether it's my family, whether it's my emotional happiness, you know, whatever it is, got to love them differently. So they know I got love for them, you know.
What do you look for in people that you want in your circle now? Like when you have people come into your life, and it's interesting as you become probably more popular as you will, and more well-known, you know, those are things you're going to have to look out for. Are these genuine people? Are they trying to take advantage of me? Like, what is it that you're looking for that you want people in your corner or your circle?
I mean, all you can really look for is a genuine heart, right? Like everybody doesn't have to have 1 million followers to come rock with me. You don't have to have $1 million to come rock with me. You don't got to be driving no expensive shit to come rock with me. Like all you can really look for at this point is a genuine heart, because that's probably the most scarce thing once you become successful.
No doubt.
You know, you get a certain amount of equity in your name. You don't have that anymore. It's they say it's lonely at the top, and that's a very real statement, because to get to that top, you got to go through a lot of pain. You got to go through a lot of people that wanted different things out of their relationship with you, that said they were there for you and really weren't. And it's lonely at the top because of the amount of pain that you got to go through, the amount of people that are going to walk in and out of your life, and you sort of get into this defense mode. So I remind myself that no matter where I get to in my life, look for the genuineness. Like, right, look where the love is. And yeah, everybody doesn't have to bring, you know, like I said, 1 million followers to the table to come kick it with me. I'm not that type of guy. I'm going to look where somebody's heart is at. And if your heart is in the right place, sometimes if all you can offer me is a conversation, that's enough. Because we don't get a lot of that once you become, you know, this figure that people see.
Right.
You don't, it's not something that you always get.
What's some of, you talk about going through a lot of the pain. What's some of the pain that you remember, a story of you dealing with some of this hardship on your path to try to follow in, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but in God's plan for you?
Yeah, I mean, some of the hardest shit that I had to learn, and obviously I'm young. I'm a young guy, so
yeah, I
ain't gone through, having kids and a wife and stuff.
I know that's the weird. So people are probably like, well,
yeah. So what have you gone through, right?
Right.
So what have you gone through? But like one of the hardest lessons I had to learn was that some people want to see you do good, but not better than them, and that was a very hard lesson for me. And I remember having mentors of mine that I looked up to in my hometown that I put heart and soul into, and would go to learn from and seek from, and they would push me forward. And I feel like these are guys I want to learn from, and these are the people that inspire me every day. And the second that you get an inch on somebody, it immediately goes from support to envy to hate, and it's sporadic. It's almost instant. And that was a lesson that I had to learn, and that hurt me a lot. Like there was guys that I looked up to in my city that, like I've stood by. If you were the barber, I would go and stand right next to you on your shoulder for hours, and I would sit there and I would watch you cut. I would ask you questions and try to learn from you, and it was a cute thing for them at that time. But like I was never into this just to be somebody's sidekick or just to be like sitting under somebody's wing. Like I give gratitude and I give grace to anybody that has ever helped me, even the guys that hurt me now. I will never be ungrateful for all the things that they taught me to get to where I'm at, no matter how the relationship might have turned. So like I'll never, disregard somebody's help towards my career or my life. But, I remember walking into, one of an old mentor of mine, to his barbershop at nighttime. It was like 8 p.m. I just got done cutting for the whole day. I was cutting from like 6 a.m. to like 8 p.m. and I was just getting off to go have my first meal for the day. Like I was working strenuous hours, and I, drove by his barbershop. I see him still in there cutting. I go in and I tap him on the shoulder. I'm like, "What's up, bro?" First thing he says when he turns to me, mind you, like this is a dude we're close. I would seek, knowledge from, seek love from, seek like inspiration from. I'm thinking I'm about to just go in there and say what's up to the homie. I tap him on the back. He got a shop full of people. He turned back and say, "Oh, what's up, bro? You Hollywood now." Oh, really? Right? You don't want to shout me out on Instagram? What's up? I'm like, what is that? What are we even talking about, bro? What are we talking about? Some Instagram ass shit right now? Like, like, where's this is real love right here. Like, you're talking to me about some shit that a virtual number on a phone, and that's stopping you from seeing the love that I have from you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I ain't even eat today, but I'm gonna make sure I say what's up to you before I even go put food in my mouth. And you over here talking to me about some Instagram ass shit. Like, that's the shit that fucking be hurting, man, because I just be having love for my people, man, and others are in it for different reasons. And like I said, like, everybody doesn't have this genuine intent for you, and they want to seek some other shit from you. And the second you get an inch on some people, it turns very quickly. And, you know, this dude looked me in my face and told me that I would never be shit. I cut in a garage, and that's all I ever be.
Yeah.
That was it.
That's crazy.
And it fucking, I mean, it hurt. It brought me to tears. I left that shop so confused. And, you know, all you could really do at that time is thank God that the things went that way, because all that was a snake that was in my grass. That's all it was a snake in my grass. And sometimes when the people hurt you that bad, you got to be grateful for them, because that never happened. He never showed me his true colors. I probably would have still had that dude around me to this day.
Yeah.
Still would have been bringing him around. Still would have been sharing all the things that I had to work for today with him, because I would have just had this loyalty. You know, I would have been stuck to this loyalty with him through those times. Like, and if that didn't happen to me, like, man, or even happen with the people that it has happened with, I have no idea like where my circle and my peace would be at right now. But, you know, those are some things that really fucking cut with me here.
Yeah, I bet. So I don't mean to be condescending when I say this, so I hope it doesn't come across, because it's actually meant as a compliment. But you're 22, right? So young man, but you're different than 22-year-olds. Like, do you recognize that?
I mean, of course, I'm a humble guy, but I'm also like self-aware of myself, and I just try not to. I don't like walk like you're never gonna see me out.
I don't feel that. But you're different.
But I'm self-aware. Like, I'm a smart guy. Like, you know, and I will never downplay myself or the wittiness of what I've been able to build. I'm very self-aware that I've been given a great gift at a young age, given a lot of potential, given a large platform, given an amazing voice. Of course, I get that, but it's like I said, it's for me to show others how to get there as well. So I do get exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Is it, so you've talked a lot about your faith in God. Do you think that's what makes you different? Are there other things where you're talking about this self-awareness? Because 22-year-olds aren't doing what you do. I mean, they're on Instagram, like they're doing that stuff, trying to get famous. But what you're talking about, and even the messages that you're sharing right now, there's a ton of wisdom in what you're sharing that most 22-year-olds just don't have.
I mean, God is a big part, but I'm not like, dog, I mean, I got my faith is everything, of course, but I'm not the dude that's like gonna just like kill y'all with the God's speech. Like, I'm not that type of guy. Like, I got a very strong faith, don't get me wrong, and I'm not downplaying my faith with God, but man, I just feel like I found out what I believe in. There are principles and morals to being, you know, a great person that I stand on, and I don't try to compromise that for any opportunity or any situation, any person. And I think that that's just what I stand on. And you just don't see that a lot, because it's easy at a young age to be influenced by opportunity, by numbers, by money, by people, and trying to get this acceptance or trying to prove to people that you're different or you're better than what you really are. But I'm just confident in myself and the things that God got planned for me. And I know that they're coming. I know they're down in my pipeline, right? Like, if you got faith in the plan that he got written for you, I don't care how long it's going to take. I know it's coming. So I know that the things that I pray for and things that I vision are coming. So I'm just confident in that. And I'm willing to take the patience I need for it to happen. And I just, you know, like I said, man, I give a lot of credit to my hometown, though, as well. Growing up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, in a very small town, not really seeing a lot of success come out of there. But the ones that do become successful, we learn a lot from them. You know, we got J. Cole. We got my brother Dennis Smith Jr. We got Murray now. We got a lot of dope figures from the hometown that come out. And when you're a person that gets an opportunity to make it on a national level from a town that nobody ever looks at, you gotta carry that a certain way. So I'm just extremely humbled and grateful that, you know, God chose me out of my hometown, and I hope that I can shine a light on the others that might be stuck in the small inner city that have the talent but maybe not the resources. So, you know, coming from Fayetteville, bro, like I just gotta be humble. Like, you know, shit could be worse. Like, who am I to be, ungrateful now or walk with like I'm
Yeah.
bigger than who I am, man. Like, fuck, I done beat the odds already, man. Like, everything now is just a blessing.
Has there ever been a time in your life or even coming up where you feel like you talk about God's plan for you might be different than the plan that you have for yourself? And how do you differentiate between the two and decide which path you're going to follow?
Yeah, I mean, that's that, like, it said that's the heart versus the brain, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
the heart versus the brain. And, sometimes I try to follow, I lead with my heart. And of course, like, sometimes you got to think logical about situations and things like that. So, of course, there's situations where I could logically think this isn't a good move for me. I get that. But the best ideas come from when you have that fire inside and you kind of get those, like you going up a roller coaster. And when you get those type of emotions, when you're thinking about some shit you want to do, like, that's the best feeling to be in. So when I get that and I think about some shit that we're going to do or we're about to get done and I get that, like, oh, fuck, I'm going up a roller coaster right now. I'm like, yo, I'm headed in the right direction.
Yeah. Because
if I never got that feeling for any idea I had, like, I probably would still be in favor. But when you get that good burning feeling, like, man, I know I'm headed in the right direction. And whether I fail or whether I succeed, like, I learn from it. And as long as you're learning, you're never really losing. So,
right.
I just, I mean, God's plan always come through at the end of the day, I believe. And, even decisions that I try to make happen that don't happen, I just know it wasn't meant for me. And I chalk it up and move on to the next one, trying to get too emotionally attached to opportunities that go left.
Or like you said, you were meant to do that. It wasn't meant to pan out the way you thought, but it was a learning opportunity.
You were meant to learn that. Right. You were meant to learn that, right? Like, all the girlfriends we might have had that we thought were going to be the one every time.
Yeah.
And they went left. You're like, damn, what happened? So, I was just supposed to go through that pain because it prepared me for what's coming next. So I got this quote that I heard while I was working in a restaurant. It said that there's always a test before a promotion. So when I heard that, I'm like, damn, all the shit that I'm going through that's making me go through this, hurt and this pain is just preparing me for something that's way better down the road. And it's sometimes when you hear that shit, you're in the midst of that pain, you don't even want to hear it.
It's hard to hear.
You don't even want to hear that shit, man. This girl just broke my heart. She's supposed to be my wife. She's so bad and she just left me for this other dude. I don't want to hear nothing you talking about. And it's the faith that you got to build to say, man, I'm confident in the things that will be meant for me will be meant for me. And all the struggle, all the downfall, the pain you got to go through is just preparing you to be grateful for the things that God got coming for you later. So when I think about the friends that hurt me, it prepared me to be grateful for the friends I got now. And I know how to cherish and love those people. The mentors that hurt me before, I know how to cherish and love and grow the relationship with my mentors now in a different way. Like, I learned how to look at people. I learned how to love people differently. I learned how to communicate with people differently through all the pain and all the bullshit I had to go through with the people that walked in and out of my life before. There's always going to be a test before the promotion. I may have less than 10 people in my circle right now, but out of the 100 people that did me dirty, I know how to love these 10 people the best now.
Right, they're the best 10. Yeah. One of the things that I know is important to you, you talk about prison reform a bit. You talk about making sure that these inmates who come out of prison have applicable skills, marketable skills, and you've got a little bit of a victory in that. There's in California, there's barber schools now, right? Talk to me about that and why that's so important to you and how you see that helping these men that come through the prison system.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to my brother Scott Bunnick, first and foremost for opening that lane in my life for me. When you think about, like, when I prayed to have impact, and when I thought about being this inspiration to people, and I never thought about it in this lane and that lane. I just said, that's what I want to do. And whatever God has opened for me and whatever he wants me to be and to do so, I'm going to take. So it wasn't like I sat down before and said, oh man, I'm going to pray to do prison reform. Right. This, like, right. I prayed to have a voice. I prayed to have impact. I prayed to use my platform. Whatever God felt was going to be meant for me will be meant for me. So I remember just sitting at the house, and I get a DM from our mutual friend, Irv Rowland. Shout out to Irv, who is a veteran NBA trainer, but also a social activist and, works in social reform. He just sent me a DM. Was like, yo, my boy Scott Bunnick wants to get in contact with you. He's a producer, produced The Hangover, Project X, Just Mercy. And I'm like, Oh, The Hangover?
Yeah.
Okay, bet. Give him my number. I think this is my big opportunity on the screen. I'm about to be in the next Hangover. Like, I'm out of here. So he gives him my number. He hits me up. He's like, hey, what's up, bro? My name is Scott Bunnick, producer for The Hangover. This and the third. I'm like, man, what's up, bro? Like, what role you got for me? What's the script?
Right.
He said, oh, nah, man, I work in prison reform, and the people on the inside, they really love your voice and they've been sharing your videos. I would love to bring you out to a prison in California to meet some of these guys.
Right.
I'm like, man, this is different.
Yeah.
Right, this is not what I imagined that I would be doing. You know, like, again, it was not something I thought I could even do. I didn't think I looked the part, I had the story for it, or like had the connection for it, or I just didn't think that was somewhere I could have impact that. But it's what God had in my plan. So I'm like, all right, bro, you know, we get on the phone, we talk for maybe an hour and a half, late night on the phone, really connected. And, you know, again, energy, man, it's all about the people that come with a genuine heart. We chopped it up. I got on a flight maybe 2 weeks later to LA, and I was in the midst of opening a creative studio. I wanted to open a creative studio in Atlanta to bring together like opportunity for young creatives that might not have resources and mentorship.
Like what? Like when you say creative, what? Like video, like content creation?
Creating content, you know, building a brand.
Okay.
It might have been barbering. It might anything. Like, right. I'm not limited to just like this cutting your hair out. I love video production. I love speaking. I love brand building. That's just what I love. So I was about to open this 8,000 square foot building right in the heart of Midtown Atlanta. About to sign for it. It was a hefty rent. Yeah. It was definitely. I was prepared for it. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't scared to do it, but that was me living in the flesh and saying, yo, this is the direction I'm going with. I'm going to open this. I'm going to do that. And the day, right, I remember going out to LA, and I was getting the contract back from my real estate agent at the time for this commercial building. I'm about to sign. The day I go to Lancaster prison with Scott, it changed my life. And I think I'm in this direction to open this studio, about to be locked in. It was a 5-year lease. Couldn't get out of it, paying like $10,000 a month. I was gonna be stuck. The day I get the contract is the day we go to the prison. Can't bring your phones inside of the prison, so I don't get to respond in time to even sign it. By the time I come out of that prison, I'm like, yo, there's no way that I could stop exploring this direction.
Right.
And if I would sign that contract earlier and would have had my phone on me, I would have been locked in. I would have been on some totally other shit. So when we left that visit, we finished that weekend, Scott was like, you know, bro, there's never been a barber program in California prison history. He's like, if you want to do so, we can start working now. It's possible. And what hit home for me, and the way the reason why, you know, I want to see this change is because we come from very small towns with a lack of opportunity or a lack of, you know, direction or blueprint for people to make it out. And although I'm not affected personally, like it ain't like my dad been locked up forever and I'm, you know, all this is why I want to be in here.
Right.
I'm a person that has empathy for other humans. And I think as long as you can have empathy for the things that other people go through, then you have a heart for change. And I have empathy for growing up in the communities that we have and seeing people be affected by incarceration in and out. And what it is lack of resource and opportunity and lack of knowledge. A lot of people just don't know what they can do or can achieve. And I know you can't be the savior for every person out there, but you know, if you want to see change happen, you gotta be that change first. So if I have an opportunity in front of me to provide men and women in these communities that get stuck in a cycle of incarceration, that have, you know, been systematically oppressed by, if I can give them an opportunity to go back to the communities that they once hurt before and now be able to help, then I'm doing my part, right? I'm just fulfilling my part, and that's all I want to do is play my part. They say the world is a stage and everybody got a role to play, and if that's my role for right now and it's part of the movie, I'm going to do so. So if I, you know, and this is providing tools, right? You teach a man, you give a man a fish to eat for the day, you teach him how to fish to eat forever. So providing somebody with a tool like a barber's license, you now change their role in that community from, oh, I'm going back here to go fuck with the same homies that I've been fucking with that put me in this position to be locked up like this. I'm going to fall into the same cycle. And yes, they can go and they should be, you know, people are going to argue and say, oh, they should be, you know, strong-minded and go through the shit. But like, man, prison isn't designed for us to be rehabilitated. That's not what it is.
Right.
It should be, but that's not what it is. So a lot of these guys don't even get the mental change to come back to the communities with a different mindset. But you're going to get locked up. You're coming home. You're going back to the same shit. You're going back to the same people. Nothing has changed. So to give somebody now a role to come back to the communities and provide a different perspective, to provide mentorship, to provide love, and then a haircut, like, yo, that's different. And they're gonna make money from it. And not only are they gonna make money from it, but I'm gonna show them how to make money at the highest level for it. Like, I'm gonna provide a different curriculum for them, different mentorship, different insight on it, and hopefully they're motivated to do so, because the most important role of a barber is not just the cut that you provide, but it's the role that you play in your community as a pillar. And that's what I want these guys to become, because they've had trouble past them, and they've gone through a lot of trauma and things that, I pray none of us have to go through ever. But they can speak from that experience now and be a real role model to the kids that might be falling into the same shit, because everybody needs a cut.
Right.
So all the kids that come through the shop, they cut. They need to hear it from men that have gone through it to say, like, yo, you don't have to be in this path anymore. So that, it's my real motivation, man, is just trying to make a change for the communities that we grow up in and stop this cycle of incarceration. So, we can have some real change in our lives.
You're right about the barbershop, because it's not so much anymore, but there used to be a time where all the men would get together and they'd talk about life and they'd talk about culture and they'd work through their differences, and then they'd bring their sons into the barber who their dad was getting their haircut from, and they'd learn all these lessons from these guys. I love that, the culture of it.
Yeah, we grew up in a barbershop. That's why I am a barber. I grew up in a barbershop. Shout out to Barber Kings, Sean and Q, our mentors, our brothers, our guys. Like, we grew up in that shop. We would walk to the barbershop every Sunday from my mom's house, from the neighborhood, and we would walk all the way down to the shop, and we were sitting there all day.
Really?
All day waiting for a cut. We getting skipped left and right. They asking who next. Some big ass dude is standing up saying, I'm next. When I know I'm next, I'm looking at him like, yeah, you next, bro. You got it. And we just we will waste not waste it, but we would spend our whole day there just hearing the dudes talk shit. Sean, Q, Gina, they would just mess with each other all day. They would look at the customers and be like, hey, yo, watch this. They'd go up to the other one and hit them with something, mess with them, and then it was just such an experience to grow up there. But aside from the funny shit that would happen there, all the walls in there were filled with history, true history, shit that you won't learn in the school books, right? It's all the shit that it's kind of silenced through education nowadays, and we would learn it there. We would learn about the things on the walls. We'd have open conversations. We would speak about problems going on in our city, in our community, in the world. You would hear about musicians and artists and painters and writers that you never heard before. I learned so much about this culture that we live in every day through living in this barbershop, and it's a beautiful thing. And it's also a tradition that has been lost in the last couple of years through the social media wave and things getting a little bit more personal and then COVID coming. So I think it's a great thing, and ultimately, man, it's just human connection.
Yeah,
that's all it really comes down to. It at the grand scheme of things, it's human connection and mentorship. So that's the most important thing, and that's why we have, such an emotional connection to it, is because we went through it and we grew up in that.
What's some of the pushback that you get for some of the things you're doing within the prison reform system? Because, and I've changed my thought over the past, I would say, a couple of years ago. I used to think, I would say things like, and I'm sure you get this, oh, these people have lost their right to that, to have education. Why should I pay for their education when they've proven, that they're not going to honor it, or whatever it might be. But I've thought to myself over the past couple of years, what's the alternative? Lock them up and let them continue to go through that cycle? Or is there an opportunity for society to provide an education that either A, wasn't available to them, or B, they didn't take advantage of? Both can exist. And do a good job for those people and do a good job for society as a whole. I'm not sure if you get pushback like that or anything else, but I am curious what people say.
I mean, of course there's going to be pushback with anything you do, whether it's, prison reform or starting a podcast or shooting video. There'll be pushback to whatever you want to do, but if it's something you believe in, you got to go through it no matter what somebody says. Mm-hmm. So I feel that it's in my heart. I feel God called me to do so. So if somebody got something else to say, not that I don't care what they got to think, but I really don't when it comes down to me following what I think I'm here to do by God. And who am I to judge what another man or another human should be doing? That ain't for us to say so. Who am I to say what another human should be doing with their life or they right? That ain't, like, who the fuck are you? Like, honestly, man, like, they say only God could judge, but a lot of people really don't even stand by that. And all we do is put a label on somebody, not even knowing the situation or the shit that they had to go through and the reason why they were even there. That's the real bullshit, is why was that person even in that situation to even feel the need to commit that crime? Like, they're trying to find love in a community where it doesn't exist. That's the real problem, is that there's not even an opportunity in some of these communities. There's not even schools. There's not even mentors. There's not even jobs available for them to even become a working citizen of their community, right? So there's a bigger problem to this shit. You want to nitpick a dude for selling dope? The only opportunity he had to make a fucking dollar was to sell dope, right? When you're at a bridge point where it's, I sell this fucking weed, or I sell whatever it is I got to sell, or my kid doesn't eat, what are you going to do?
Right.
You're going to go sell that weed. You have
what you had
to
do.
because you're fucking using what's in front of you. Could you get up and go move and do all this shit? Yes, you can, but there's so many things that make it hard for a person to do so. So it's lack of opportunity, lack of knowledge, and it's shit that could be fixed through education and things that we're able to preach out and teach to others. But like, who are you to sit back and say what another person should be doing, man, or what they should be fucking being given in their life? Like, some of these guys have committed their crimes, man, at age 14 and 15 and 16 years old. They're kids. Think about your mind at 15 and 16.
Yeah.
Right? Not even the same person. So now here you are as a 45-year-old man. You spent 30 years locked up and you got to pay for the thing that you did at 14. Now, I'm not disregarding any type of, feeling for the victims of these situations or the victims of these crimes, bro. Like, there's no, there's no easy way to move past these things, but you got to forgive to move forward. And we got to understand that these aren't the same people anymore. Like, they gone through 30 years of sitting on this crime thinking like, fuck, if I could go back, I would fix it again. But society never gives them a chance to be seen as human again. And that's all they want to be, is to be seen as human. Not to be seen as like anything, to be seen as a person. When I first walked into the prison, I was scared. I remember telling Scott, like, man, these guys ain't gonna fucking talk to me, man. I don't know what it is I'm walking into. I think I'm walking into Beyond Scared Straight or some shit. I think I'm walking on to like, locked up on A&E or whatever. I think that's what it's gonna be like. Man, I go in there, I meet some of the nicest and some of the kindest and some of the most interesting and wisdom-filled guys I've ever met in my life. Like, ever. And all they wanted was just to be heard and to have a conversation with a human on the outside that would look at him as another human and not a number. They just want to be forgiven and they want to be seen as equal. And it's very hard, if I get backlash for it, I'm sorry. Like, I'm gonna die standing by what I believe in.
I think that's important when you say, hey, I don't care what they think, but also the alternative or another perspective is making sure that you're aware of what the pushback is so you can drive forward with something that's meaningful to you, right?
Yeah, but
those are two different things.
And I'm not on my, I say that, but I'm not on my platform saying fuck anybody that thinks otherwise.
Right.
It's education, bro. If I could change the perspective, I could change the way that we live. Right? If I could show you through the things I'm doing, and I'm willing to take the risk to do so, like, maybe I could change that. So if you got something negative to say about me and you just blatantly don't want to hear it, yeah, maybe it's fuck you, man. But if you just are confused about it and got a genuine concern, man, like, yo, come have a conversation and let's talk about it, because I want to know where that concern come from. Right?
Well, that's why stuff like this is so important. Podcasting, what you're doing in the community, because people aren't having these kind of conversations. And what they're doing is they're seeing one aspect of it and jumping to a conclusion about something they know nothing about, rather than sitting down and saying, okay, let me ask you some questions about this from a genuine place.
Like, man, there's no easy, like, I get it, man. Like, victims of some of these crimes, like, there's no easy way to do so, man. But like, even through like trauma, like any trauma, like I've gone through extreme trauma, like, close, like life or death situations, and to the people that did so to me, I gotta forgive them, because that's the only way I'm able to allow myself to heal. And I get it, man. Some shit's hard, and I can't sit here and tell another person they have to do this. But from my experience and me almost losing my life in certain situations, the people that have hurt me to do so, I forgive them still. And that takes a lot because this shit this shit haunted me for years through what I've been through. But I forgive the person, and more so like I look at why was that person in that situation in the first place to even feel that they had to hurt me in that way to get what they wanted. And I look at the bigger picture of how can we change this shit, man? So no other kid feels like the only way they can eat or survive is to hurt, to kill, to rob, to steal, to do so. Like, what do we got to do? So, you know, for me, forgiving people allowed me to heal, man, and really come to peace with some of the traumas that I've been able to go through.
Have you taken people through and the process yet where they've got their license and they're out practicing?
Not
Have you
currently.
gone through that?
We're in the building phase right now. We're building out the space.
In the prison itself, or is it outside of the prison?
In the prison itself. So we're building right now, designing, and it's a process, you know, working with the government and doing anything. Like,
of course,
with the state.
the red tape
it's
and
going to take some time. We should be looking at towards the end of this year for the first one to be launched and up and running. But, I mean, the hardest thing was just getting the concept to even be approved. Like,
what was that like? I mean obviously tons of committees you have to deal with and everything else.
You know, thank God I got a guy like Scott to really push forward for these things because he's a guy that's had 20 plus years of experience and relationships to make it go so smoothly, right? If it was both of us stepping in from day one of an idea, it might have took a while, but Scott is a guy that did 20 years to build up to be able to have and do so for things like this. So, you know, shout out to Scott, really. Like, I mean, I got all the credit because he's gone through the hardest of the hardest things just to be able to have a voice in a scenario like this and in these rooms and in these circles. So because of him, we're able to push forward a little bit faster than others. But for me, it was, you know, different because I'm not into politics like that, man. But like I've had to speak to people that look nothing like us or understand the world that we come from, but they're in charge of some of the most critical decisions on how people of our communities need to be living, and the level of like I said, like the livelihood of like what they live every day, like the quality of life that they've been given are controlled by people that are just really disconnected. So it was my first time really sitting in a conversation and in a call with these people. And again, it's not, oh, fuck you if you don't understand, but how do I change your perspective and allow you to see it from what we've been through, and how do I allow us to get where we need to be going? So that was different for me, having to sit down and look at my room and assess and learn about how I'm going to communicate and get this message across in the most, you know, like understanding way.
Right.
Like it was a good time.
Yeah, I bet that was a pretty big challenge.
I mean, yeah, it's just more so like communication and learning that and learning that some people are not going to look how we look, they're not going to sound the way that we look, but you know, the power to be able to speak to anybody is very, very important, but more so the power to make everybody understand your vision and understand your ideas, right? We all got a lot of ideas, but if we could communicate to everybody our ideas and allow them to see them the way that we see them, our shit will be moving forward, right?
Yeah, of course.
For you to pitch things, for you to get shit done, it's all about, you know, telling your idea and making it easily to understand.
Have you always been somebody that can do that? Because like I'm sitting here listening to you and I've seen you from a distance on social media, and clearly you have the ability to communicate an important message. Clearly it's important to you. Is this something you've always been able to do and it's part of your personality?
Yeah, I feel like God blessed my voice before he blessed my hands. Like I've always loved to speak, that I know I could, like, to get to this point to speak now, like of course it's taking some work. I'm not gonna say in front like, oh, I'm just naturally like this. Like
right.
I work in my speaking, man. I've taken, you know, speaking classes, I've learned, I've watched videos, I've studied the craft of speaking and how to use my voice, because that's my gift, man. And you know, hard work beat talent when talent don't work hard. And if I got a little bit of talent and a little bit of hard work, like I'm trying to just keep it going and keep it pushing forward. So it's something I work on for sure. And you know, my best friend will probably give you a better answer because he hear like I would say I spoke well, but he might know better because I never really think about it like that. What do you think?
Yeah, you've always been you just know people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, he's a people person.
Yeah.
So he analyzes them, he can assess, and you know what I mean. Like he's just very keen to like people. It's just sort of very.
I mean, just really key to emotion. Like I think about emotion and like how do I, like, how would this make this person feel if I say something like this? And it's not really what you say, it's how you say things,
Sure.
man. And you really
the
got to
feeling
know how
behind it.
to get a message to somebody without them feeling offended, without them feeling pushed. And I just know how I would, I put myself in them shoes, man. If I say just like this to that person, how are they going to feel? And then I always think about the intent that people have versus, their actions. And sometimes people got great intent for the things they want to do, and they do the wrong action, or they do it in a way that gives a different, image of what they were intending to do.
Right.
So I assess that, right? Like, what was this person's intent with what they wanted to do, and how am I going to respond to them versus what did they actually do? And as long as you can see somebody's intent in what they did to you, like if it's genuine, then you got to make sure your response to them is going to make them understand. So,
yeah.
Right.
That's a good point. I think that's one of the things that's a real problem in society is people don't look at intent. And I've just come to the conclusion that most people just don't communicate real well. And so they probably have better intent more often than their ability to communicate it and relay it effectively.
Yeah.
So I think we need to afford people grace when they say something dumb or do something dumb and realize that maybe there was a good intention behind it.
Maybe the intention was in it. The intention was there, man. Like, yo, you just got to communicate. Say, like, yo, I see what you were doing, man, but it made me feel this way when you did. So I appreciate that. If you want to do it differently next time, this is a way that I would appreciate you to say or do so. And you just got to communicate in a better way. But that's what I think about a lot when I speak to people, even as I'm interviewing or cutting people on the streets. Like, how do I communicate it to this person? Everybody's different. So that's the challenge with it, is that sometimes I'm speaking to a 10-year-old kid, and sometimes I'm speaking to a 60-year-old man. Like, you got to learn how to communicate your ideas and your thoughts to different people for allowing them to feel comfortable.
Yeah. Well, what's next for you? I mean, obviously you've got the barbershop within the prison system. You've got what your own personal brand and what you're doing. Anything else coming down the line?
I mean, tons of things that can't speak of currently yet. A lot of things in the pipipeline that have
Hangover, right? The next Hangover?
Next time, yeah, Scott, when you see this, make sure I'm on the list, man. So
that's right.
A lot of dope things. All I can say is that I'm looking to elevate my voice and really become an inspiration to young kids, and not just young kids, but anybody out there that has a dream that they want to chase and you want to take my voice to the highest level possible. So
awesome.
That's all I hope to do in the next couple of years. When people ask me where I see myself and stuff like that, like, I just want to continue to inspire, bro. And whatever guy got planned for that, whatever platform I'm going to be on, whatever channel he wants me on, that's where I'll be at. And a lot of dope shit coming, man.
Yeah.
A lot of really dope things.
I'm excited for you. I've been looking forward to having this conversation. It was funny. I was telling Brandy and I were talking because she helped get this set up for us. I think you talked to her via email, and she wanted me to tell you to remind me about this story. Is that this was months and months ago. She's like, "Hey, check this guy out. He'd be good on the podcast." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool. I'll take a look." And I kind of blew it off. And then about 3 or 4 months later, I had followed you. And I was looking at him, I'm like, man, I love this guy's stuff. So I sent Brandy a message. I'm like, hey, this guy would be awesome on the podcast. She's like, I told you that 3 months ago. So she wanted to make sure I said that it was her idea, even though I stole credit.
Man, shout out to Brandy. Shout out to Brandy for seeing it, man. But yo, I appreciate it. Like, and that too, man. Like, I don't care if you became a fan or a supporter of something that I did yesterday. As long as you're here and you see the vision and you support it, like, I appreciate that. I'm not a dude that's like, oh, if you ain't fucking me back, man, you can't fuck with me now, man. Like, any support is appreciated. I love everybody that is, that can see what I'm trying to do, man. Yeah. So I appreciate you just.
Well, you have my support. I mean, like I said, I've been inspired. I love this conversation. I think what you're doing is amazing, and so you have my support. Whatever I can do to help, I'm on it.
Man, thank you, bro. Likewise, man.
Thanks, brother.